Video blog.
Hey there, this is Tim from Twice Circled, and welcome to episode 2 of the official Megaquarium video blog. We're going to pick up right where we left off in the last vlog. We're going to do a little bit more of the tutorial, and I'm going to explain some of the other cool things that are in the game. So, we're going to start off by opening our aquarium, because we want to earn 50 ecology points. And the way you do that is obviously your guests coming in and experiencing your tanks. In fact, I might as well explain a little bit more about how that works. The frequency at which guests coming to your aquarium, that's currently just based on the total point value of your tanks. So currently it's basically all these numbers added up. And the nice thing about that is it does take into account both the growth of your fish, because as they grow, they gain stats. As they grow in size, these point values increase as well. Like currently the way it works is these totals are actually the product of multiplying the size and the trait value. Whether that's always going to be like that, we'll wait and see, but that kind of keeps a bit of balance, because obviously the bigger fish, you can't have as many of them in your tanks. Anyway, but it also takes account of things like your scenery, which increases the point value of your tanks, you know. So it's a bit of a blunt instrument, but I think it's okay for just at the moment. It just means that the bigger your aquarium gets, the more frequently people will come into your aquarium. So we've earned our 50 ecology points. We can now unlock a new fish. In fact, we've got way more than 50. We've got loads of ecology coming in. The kind of simulation parameters which determine how quick everything comes in, you know, they're obviously very subject to change. Right now it's more about showing stuff off and also testing, and so I'm quite keen for stuff to happen quickly so I can get to the good stuff. Anyway, so we got some more stat increases, quite a lot of ticket income actually. Like I say, this will probably all be tweaked, and actually plenty of ecology earnings. So we go to the next day, and as I explained last week, it's the reason I like this, one of the reasons I like this day cycle, is that I now have the perfect opportunity to add new fish to my aquarium. So if we go to the fish menu, it's asking us to unlock a new fish. So this is the only one we can afford. It's a half and half chromis. This is actually another type of damselfish. It's also a hardy fish, you can see under its traits, and it's striking as opposed to colourful. So it's a slightly different trait, and of course that will have different combos of different decorations. And while it's not in the game yet, there's going to be a lot more that these impacts that these traits have. For example, guests will have favourite traits. So some guests will like colourful fish, some will like striking fish, some will like greedy and clever fish. And therefore you'll be rewarded by having a great diversity of species, but actually it's more like the traits, it's diversity of traits that you're really after. So, you know, you can be quite clever. Both of these are hardy, so actually if you could find something that was striking and something other than hardy, then you've got more diversity there. You're going to have a tank which is more likely to excite a wider range of guests, and the happier your guests are, you know, the higher your park rating gets, and of course, I should call it aquarium rating, I guess. That's an hangover from Roller Coaster Tycoon, calling it park rating. Anyway, so the other thing that's different about the chromis is it's actually slightly larger damsel. It grows to an adult size of 3. So whereas this just stays at size 2, you can see this goes from a baby size of 2 to an adult size of 3. You can see that on the growth chart, the 4th symbol, which is just like a little circle. That's actually just a placeholder, but you know, that just means grow at the moment. So that's the day that it will grow from a 2 to a 3. So let's unlock that. And now it's time to expand our Megaquarium. So we grab the expand tool and we drag it out, and basically what you can see here is let's go for this, the kind of light blue cuboids. That's where the walls are going to be once we've expanded, and then the kind of the green tiles on the floor, that's where the new tiles are going to be. This has actually already gone through one kind of iteration of design. I still think it could be more clear. I think excuse me. I think all those little cuboids with the semi-transparency layering up on each other kind of is a bit messy, but that's just that's more of a kind of aesthetic consideration. I'm also tempted to kind of completely scrap it and go for this kind of blueprint mode, where maybe when you click on this button, it swings over your head and it looks like a blueprint. And so it's really clear that you're kind of, this is all about changing the shape of your overall aquarium. We also have a wall tool, which allows us to kind of add in new walls, kind of like this. I'm actually not going to do it right now. Oh, and someone asked last week, can you lower the walls? When you can. So maybe we'll do it like this for a little bit, just so it's easier to see what's going on. So to get this new fish into our aquarium, we're going to have to add some new tanks. Now, later on in this, in the tutorial, it's asking us to earn 50 science points, which we've actually already done, and then unlock a new tank. I'm just going to do that now because I want to show you a different type of tank. So we've seen these basic tanks. We're going to unlock this wall tank and this corner tank. What's different about these is these actually form the edge of a kind of room. They form new walls, essentially, whereas these tanks, while I guess you could think of them as walls, they're more like they just kind of sit in the middle of your rooms. And you can actually see that when you select them. So here what you're looking at is a basic tank can be accessed from all sides. That's what those yellow arrows mean. And the green squares, that's the radius of attraction for this tank. So this is the tiles which, when a guest enters them, they will be attracted to the tank and they will then go and have a little look at it. Now the problem, this looks great, access from all sides, tracks from all sides, viewed from all sides, but the problem is it doesn't really funnel the guests very well, and what you often get is, a guest will come in, they'll look here, and then they'll go around here, and they don't see a new tank for bloody ages, until they come over to here, and they've wasted a lot of time. That's kind of like several hours of your day, or maybe a couple of hours of the day. I might have mentioned last week, yeah, currently the day cycle is really quick. That will be slowed down once there's more to do during the day. Now, these wall tanks, these can only be accessed from one side, the back, which is where those yellow arrows are, and they can only be viewed from the front. But what you can do with this is you can kind of create corridors and force your guests along them. And I'll show you how that works here. I'm tempted to maybe actually make a corridor go around the back. Oh, this is interesting now. You see, and this is what I want the game to all be about. It's like designing this layout. There is just an infinite number of combinations of ways of doing this. If I didn't have these basic tanks, maybe I would just kind of have like a U shape that goes right round like this. But with these tanks already here, and eventually you'll be able to move them, but currently you can't, so it presents a more interesting logistical struggle. What we could do is fill this in with another basic tank. We've got loads of money, so let's just kind of go have some fun. And then what we could do is actually use these wall tanks around the edge, and kind of, basically, I guess we are kind of using these as like pseudo walls. Oh no, you know what the problem with this is? When a guest comes in, they will randomly choose the square to view it from, and that is deliberate because I want these kind of basic tanks to have this detraction, that is that they're not very good at controlling the flow of guests. It does mean that a guest, if they walk in here, they may want to come all the way around and view from the back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just see what happens. I think we can get around that. So basically, we got these two wall tanks here. I think what we're going to do is have a corner tank on the end. So you see how this one works. It's like a normal wall tank, but it's actually viewed from two sides, so they can actually get past there. Now, you have to be a little bit careful because it's only going to be viewable from, if we build it like this, we kind of lose one of our yellow squares, yellow arrows. So we might want to actually indent it in a little bit like this. I think that's probably the best way to go. We're also going to want to kind of just expand this a little bit further, so there's room to kind of get round. And what we want to do is we want to avoid the guest walking behind these tanks because it's just a waste. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a staff door. Now this is basically makes a square that the guests will not go through. And then we're just going to, for now, we're just going to, excuse me sniffing every now and again, I've got a bit of a cold, so hopefully that doesn't happen too often. We're just going to just use walls to kind of block off the rest of this. Now, admittedly, this side is kind of lame, so I probably could have designed this a little bit more compactly, because guests are going to waste a lot of space. That's another thing, by the way, I like about this is that if your aquarium is too big, it's actually bad. It's like you need an aquarium which is just the perfect size for the stuff that you have, because actually this would be better if this tank was over here and we had a corner over here or something. So you'll see a lot of people wasting time around here. Anyway, time to add some more fish. We're going to add filters, so let's add a filter here. And we're going to add a filter. We got to work this out because we need to make sure that it's accessible. Oh, and we don't want to block the way in because these filters actually block the... Oh no, this is tough. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put this here, and then we're actually going to have to put a filter here on the side, so it's a bit ugly. And eventually, again, so many eventuallys, guests will actually find it distasteful to see the filters on the outside of tanks, and so this would actually kind of lose us a little bit of kind of guest satisfaction. We had to put it there because there was only one more place for the for our staff to access the back of these tanks, and otherwise they wouldn't be able to feed them. So yeah, I mean, I've made so many mistakes already, and like I made this game. There's so many ways I would improve the efficiency of this if I could do it again. Anyway, let's put some chromuses down. A couple of those there, one there, one there. Let's add some demoiselles. We've actually got this tank here, so you know what? I think I've gone a bit crazy. I've got way too much, but I will show you what happens when you do this, when you run away with yourself and you do too much. So let's open the door. This is only day 2. We've only got one staff member. Now watch what happens when our staff member tries to feed all of the fish. I'm just going to speed it up, okay? So, okay, I think she's managed to feed these 2. Yep. Now she's feeding these ones, which is great. We did just manage it. Oh, now she's feeding these ones. Okay, great. Oh, you know what we should do? Let's add an extra food box in here. And by the way, oh my god, what a mess. Okay, I probably shouldn't have sped the game up so much. I didn't have a chance to explain any of the stuff that just went on there. Okay. Okay, so basically what happened is our staff didn't have time to get round all of our fish because we expanded too quickly and we didn't hire enough new staff. So, you know, I quite like that. You know, you can, I mean, admittedly we've got loads of money and all this sort of stuff, so normally you wouldn't be able to do it quite this quick. But, you know, this explains the danger of not expanding at the right pace, not having enough staff. So some of our fish went hungry. This means that they don't grow, and one of the next features I want to add is fish happiness, which will be really important. I haven't worked out exactly what the negative side of happiness is going to be, but obviously leaving your fish hungry is going to make them unhappy, putting them in an overcrowded tank is going to make them unhappy, allowing them to get diseased is going to make them unhappy, allowing them to get bullied by other fish is going to make them unhappy. Anyway, so that's what happened there. We made loads of money though, and we got loads of points. And basically, I don't know if you noticed, but one of the weird things that happened is a guest came in and went all the way around and went through the staff door. So that's just something I need to make it so the guests won't go round the back of these tanks if it's in a staff area sort of thing, if it's not normally accessible. But that's something I can add later. But yeah, basically, this aquarium is not currently functioning very well. I think what we're going to do is hire a new staff member, and hopefully it will go a little bit better this time. Then we're going to do one more day, and then I'm going to end this vlog, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll just put it on double speed just while we're watching the staff. So they both grabbed some food. So we've managed to feed those first 2 tanks. Now, interestingly enough, yeah, they're going around the back to feed these guys. Now, hopefully, because this food box is here, they'll be a bit more efficient this time. And again, the days are so quick that the guests aren't having a chance to go around the entire place. But you can see that they're starting to kind of work their way around. And what's great about this is that once they see this one, you know, they can keep going and they'll see the next one. And they're not kind of hopefully wasting too much time. Let's see how we did in terms of feeding. Oh, much, much better. Yes, managed to feed them all. Okay, that's wonderful news. So we're on our way. That was a much, much better day. Having the second Aquarius really helped. Loads of points flying in. I think I'll just quickly finish the rest of the tutorial. So unlock a new filter. So you can use science points to unlock new equipment. So these allow you to, this filter will allow you to have, basically you still only use one square when you attach it to a tank, but you'll have a higher amount of filter capacity, so that will in turn mean you can put more fish in those tanks. And actually, now going to size 3, we haven't done that yet, so I will stop the video there, and maybe we'll finish the tutorial in the next video. I am kind of a little bit, I don't know, I've grown a little bit too quickly now, so I don't really like the way my aquarium is anymore, so maybe the next episode, maybe I'll have moving tanks in the next episode. And so in the next episode, we'll maybe rearrange everything and see if we can make our aquarium more efficient. Oh, and look, you can really see how the fish grow. These ones are looking much bigger than these little ones here. Alright, that's it for this episode. Thank you very, very much for watching, and hopefully you'll join me in the next episode. Remember to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.